Have you ever wondered how a simple decision can change someone's life forever? What seems ordinary, harmless, can spiral into chaos faster than anyone imagines. This is one of those stories. A story where a small choice, a single moment, sets off a chain of events that no one could have predicted. It all began on a quiet street where everything appeared normal. Neighbors greeted each other politely, kids played outside, life went on like clockwork. But behind the calm, tension was quietly building. You won't believe what caused it, and you won't see the outcome coming. Imagine waking up one morning and finding that something you took for granted is gone. Not just gone, destroyed. A thing that was part of your home, part of your life, vanished in a single decision. You would be angry, right, hurt, confused. Now imagine if that simple act could drag you into a courtroom. With stakes so high, your life could be changed forever. This story is about more than just a tree, a fence, or a driveway. It's about choices, responsibility, and the law that can turn the tiniest act into a financial disaster. Because sometimes what looks like a small problem is actually a ticking time bomb. And when it explodes, the consequences can shock everyone involved. The people involved, ordinary, just like you and me. They laughed, they argued, they thought they knew what was right. But in the shadows, unseen legal rules were waiting, ready to strike. And the outcome, it was far from what anyone expected. By the end of this story, you'll understand why one simple choice can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and destroy relationships forever. So pay attention, listen carefully, every detail matters. Every action, every word will play a part in the drama that unfolds. Because when ordinary people collide with extraordinary laws, the results can be devastating. And the shocking verdict of this case will leave you speechless. This is not a story you'll forget. It's the story of how a quiet street, an innocent oak tree, and two neighbors became the center of a legal battle no one saw coming. Stay with us because what happens next is beyond anything you could imagine. What if I told you a single tree destroyed a friendship, bankrupted a homeowner, and ended with a six-figure courtroom verdict? This isn't a joke. This actually happened, and the reason he won shocked everyone in the courtroom. Good neighbors are priceless. Bad neighbors can cost you everything. Today's story begins with a quiet suburban street, two families who got along just fine, and a tree that no one thought would change their lives forever. Mark and Daniel had been neighbors for over 7 years. They shared tools, they watched each other's houses, their kids played together. Between their properties stood a large, old oak tree. It provided shade, privacy, and unknowingly, a legal time bomb. At first, the tree was never an issue, but over time, Daniel began to complain. Leaves clogged his gutters, branches scratched his roof during storms, and the roots, he claimed, were lifting his driveway. Mark offered to trim the branches, but Daniel wanted the tree gone entirely. There was just one problem. The tree was on Mark's property. Daniel asked politely at first. Mark refused. The tree was healthy, beautiful, and increased his property value. The tension grew. One day, Daniel hired a landscaping crew while Mark was at work. Without permission, they cut the tree down, not trimmed, not pruned, completely removed. When Mark came home and saw the empty space where the oak had stood for decades, he was furious. He confronted Daniel. Daniel claimed the tree was a hazard and said he was protecting his home. Mark disagreed. What started as a shouting match soon became something far more serious. Mark consulted a lawyer, mostly expecting a small settlement for damages, but what his attorney told him changed everything. In their state, there was a law most homeowners had never heard of. It's called timber trespass. If someone cuts down a tree on another person's property without permission, they may owe not just the value of the tree, but triple damages. Mark wasn't just suing for the tree. He was suing for loss of property value, loss of privacy, emotional distress, and treble damages under state law. Daniel laughed when he was served the papers. He thought it was ridiculous. He was wrong. In court, Daniel argued that the tree was dangerous, that it posed a risk to his home and family. He brought photos of cracked concrete, water damage, and roof wear. But Mark's lawyer brought something far more powerful, a professional arborist. The arborist stepped forward and began his testimony. He spoke slowly, carefully, his words measured and precise. He explained that the tree was healthy, strong, and posed no immediate risk to Daniel's home. Not a single branch threatened the roof, the roots were contained, the trunk solid. Every detail he presented emphasized one clear point: its removal was completely unnecessary. The courtroom was silent, the tension thickened. You could almost feel the weight of each word pressing down on everyone present. The neighbors, the lawyers, even the judge, all listening, realizing that this tree, which had stood for decades, was at the heart of something much bigger than anyone had expected. Then came the appraisal expert. He adjusted his glasses and spoke with authority. The mature oak tree adds over $85,000 in property value to Mark's home, he said. He elaborated slowly, describing the shade it provided, the aesthetic beauty, and even its environmental benefits. The way it cooled the house in summer, improved air quality, and added charm to the neighborhood. Every word painted a picture. This was more than a tree. It was an integral part of a home, a property, a life. Then came the bombshell. Mark's lawyer leaned forward and delivered a revelation that stunned the room. Daniel never gave Mark notice, never asked permission, not in writing, not verbally, not even a hint of communication. He had simply taken action on his own. And in doing so, he had violated the law. The courtroom murmured, the judge adjusted his glasses, the tension palpable. Everyone could sense that this wasn't just about property. This was about respect, process, and the rules everyone is bound by, whether they like it or not. After hours of deliberation, the judge finally returned with the decision. Daniel was found fully liable. The words hung in the air like a weight. The impact was immediate. The court awarded $85,000 for the property value loss, $40,000 for landscaping and restoration, $25,000 for emotional distress, and triple damages under timber trespass laws. The total verdict, $300,000. Silence fell across the courtroom. Daniel's face went pale, his jaw tightened. You could see the shock, the realization of the financial ruin that now loomed over him. He had cut down a tree to avoid minor repairs. A simple, impulsive decision, and now the consequences were enormous. Mark sat quietly, processing what had just happened. Relief, yes, but also a lingering sadness. The tree could be replaced, money could restore the property, but the relationship, the trust, the neighborly bond, that was gone forever. The street, once calm and familiar, would never feel the same again. Daniel tried to appeal. He hoped there might be a way to reverse the ruling. But the verdict stood. Every legal avenue he pursued only reinforced the decision. He was forced to refinance his home, to pay the judgment that now defined the outcome of his actions. Mark, for his part, used some of the money to plant new trees. Life continued, but the lesson was indelibly etched into memory. What had seemed like a small inconvenience, a minor dispute over a tree, had transformed into a life-altering legal battle. This case teaches a powerful lesson, one that is simple yet profound. Never take the law into your own hands, respect property boundaries, follow proper procedures. Because what seems like a small act of frustration, a minor decision, can escalate into a disaster that affects lives in ways you cannot anticipate. And sometimes the most expensive mistake you can make is cutting the wrong tree. If this story fascinates you, know that it is just the tip of the iceberg. There are hundreds more hidden legal cases, bizarre disputes, and shocking courtroom stories waiting to be uncovered, quietly filed in public records, ready to amaze, shock, and teach powerful lessons about human nature and the law. Subscribe to Courtroom Vault, where real cases reveal the most unbelievable truths, the stories that make you question what you would do if faced with a decision that could change your life forever. Stay with us because the next story is just around the corner, and it might leave you speechless too.